Time now for the Educated Retirement Show with your host, Jay Kaplan. Jay discusses reverse mortgages and can answer your questions at 951-922-3532. Call lines are open at 951-922-3532. And now here's Jay.
Good afternoon and welcome back to the Educated Retirement Radio here on KMET 1490, where we contemplate retirement and how to best prepare for retirement and how to best stay successfully retired. So please remember, look me up, www.drhecm.com. Wait a minute. No, that's okay. drhecm.com. My engineer is drunk. No, she's there you go. All right. Just in case, there's no dots, no nothing except after the W's and before the com. So I am the doctor, as you know, and remember, take a look and be sure to jump over to the YouTube channel link about halfway down the first page. I have a lot of changes and pictures at the top, so also take a look at everything. There's a lot on YouTube, all of the shows as soon as I get to them and get them put up there, and separate snippets, like just my section or just a few seconds here or there if I think it's either entertaining or important. And there are a lot of really important and good articles in the blog, of course not all written by me but by a lot of people. So remember, 866-955-2233. That's 866-955-2233. Call me anytime you like, because knowledge is power. And we'll just have a nice conversation about education. So, what is my day job? Yes, luckily I have one. Loan officer at the Loan Source, and my NMLS number, which is my license for doing loans, it's a nationwide number, but I pretty much right here in California. 384-565, Department of Real Estate. I don't sell real estate, but I think it's important to be on top of it. But my Department of Real Estate number is 792-630. And if you're interested in selling any real estate or buying any real estate, I can help you out there. I do not do it myself, but I know a lot of people and can introduce you to a lot of people that can bring you a lot of information and give you some great choices. So we're going to have a great guest today, Ray Ramirez. And as you know, probably if you've listened to the show before, I like to keep old people busy because I think it's very healthy. We've had home care people talk about not only the care they give, but they can also, and they do also talk about franchising opportunities. Ray is a little of both, and he can get you somewhere where you can make a lot of money, and you can also help a lot of people. So I'm going to bring up something I brought up a couple of weeks ago from Shannon Hicks, and just an example of fear and how fear is involved in selling of all kinds. So what would happen if a young income earner worries that's not me because I ain't young, but a young income earner worries his family would suffer financially should he die prematurely? That's pretty easy. They go out and buy life insurance. And ethically, we never want to sell only from a position of fear. However, we should ask ourselves the uncomfortable what-if questions to uncover hidden fears. Those things you don't volunteer to discuss yet eat away at your peace of mind. After all, it is better, I should say, to shy away from sensitive topics for our own comfort or check to see how we could benefit and by being more proactive to leverage our home and its value. Let me give you a fear that a lot of people in this country are having right now. And unfortunately, there's more than one. But the U.S. debt just added $2 trillion to the federal ledger, making the federal debt exceed our annual gross domestic product. Now, you know, our domestic product has definitely come down because of things that are happening, the COVID, etc., and the economy that's attached to it. And of course, we had that tax reduction, which really adds to our debt, but we're not going to get into that right now. So it's higher than it's ever been since World War II. And higher taxes are likely to follow. So the fear about this situation is inflation is likely to increase. I don't think it's going to increase tomorrow, but it's going to increase substantially in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, making nearly everything more expensive. What's the best action? Get a reverse mortgage, which eliminates mortgage payments or at least makes them optional, and will leave you probably with an available line of credit should you need an increase down the road. So what is today? Today is International Day of Older Persons. Actually, it was yesterday, but you know, we got a lot of yesterday on today. And it was one of my favorite songs says, there is no yes in yesterday. However, my team here got the days mixed up a little bit, but at least she went backwards instead of forwards, so I guess I'm a day younger. So I like older persons rather than the elderly, but so be it. It was established by the United Nations. It was a day to appreciate the contributions that oldies like me and some of you make to society. It's also National Field Scallops Day. Now, if my department here knew what they were doing, they would have a plate of scallops right in front of me right now because I love scallops. And tell me if you disagree, but I think the best scallops I remember having is maybe in Morro Bay at a kind of a takeout and patio place called Giovanni's. And we took them, they cooked it, and we took them back to our room at Gray's Inn and ate them over the bay, and they were great. Still, love scallops. Okay, so I'm going to skip some of this advertising stuff because we might be running short of time, and we're not going to let that happen, so I can always go back to that. Let me just throw in a short one here. Those people who have a mortgage are asking for forbearance these days. And those with a HELOC are seeing those HELOCs frozen, and new ones are not even available in many cases. The HECM, home equity conversion mortgage, and other reverse products are available with or without a line of credit, and those lines of credit can never be canceled or frozen. And as you probably already know, if you've listened to the show before, they also grow in size. I have shrunk in size about 60 pounds, but the reverse mortgage line of credit will grow. Forbearance, that's a non-issue, because you can always make payments, always not. Interest only, anything you want. So from now on, I'm calling it the Intelligent Retirement Forbearance Loan. So let's talk about whose birthday it is. Oh, I got to get ready for this, okay? We used to have a break right now, and I get ready on the break, but I guess I can't do that right now. All right, wait a minute. That's part of it. Do you have that chicken that falls? Anyway, it's Groucho Marx, who joined us in 1890 and shipped off in 1977. He was a comedian. I think we all know that. And a writer of stage, film, and television, making 13 feature films such as, part of the Marx Brothers and the host of You Bet Your Life. He was born Julius, I better take these off before Julius Henry Marx, and he was born in a room above a butcher shop. You know, that's something to be proud of. I wish I were born in a room above a butcher shop, in any case, or a restaurant even, with the smells coming up, so I would know what life was all about right away. But that building that he was born in, it was populated mostly by immigrants, mostly from Europe, in New York City, mostly artisans. So Groucho and his brothers grew up in a vaudeville atmosphere because of his Uncle Al, and most people do have an Uncle Al. So they took singing, piano, and comedy lessons as youngsters, and started actually as a singing group and traveled the vaudeville circuit. On October 5th, 1950, close to now, You Bet Your Life premiered on television as a comedy quiz show. And you know, one of his contestants was William Blatty, who won $10,000 on the show. When Groucho asked what he was going to do with the money, he answered, "I'm going to write a novel." And the result was, you probably already know, The Exorcist. And this is just a note and a autograph by Linda Blair. And so that, I don't know, I thought that was pretty fascinating. They made really two groups of movies, and I don't have all the names of all of them. Some of them were the craziest. I think probably the best, although not every scene, but the crazy ones were Duck Soup, Room Service, Monkey Business. Let me get some of these out for you. Okay. Little Monkey Business. What is this one? Oh, Animal Crackers. I did mention Animal Crackers. Okay. Then there was some change of ownership at the studio. They stopped making movies for a while, and then I think at least 3 of the Marx Brothers showed up completely nude at the office of the president of the studio. And before you know it, more movies were put out. They were a little more on the sane side, and they would include one of my favorites, Night at the Opera. Now, Night at the Opera, I think, has one of the funniest scenes ever seen in a movie. And that's when they're on the ship. And before you know it, there's 300 people in this small guest room. And then at the end of that scene, somebody opens the door and they all pile out. But anyway, we've got that going. There was Night at the Opera. There was Day at the Races. There were, a few other things like that. Now, Groucho has some sayings, some quotes, which I'd like to start incorporating into my life. But let me give you a few of the best that I thought. Those are my principles, and if you don't like them, I have others. That's okay. I never forget a face, but in your case, I'll be glad to make an exception. Now, I've heard that told to me, but that's all right, too. This is one of the best ones here coming up. I must confess I was born at a very early age, and I think that's true for me, too. I worked my way up from nothing to a state of extreme poverty. Okay. And another one I really like, I'm not crazy about reality, but it's still the only place to get a decent meal. Scallops, for instance. Now, who else? Oh, some of the following people actually were born yesterday, and that was a great movie, too. But one of them, Walter Matthau, or whatever you want to pronounce it. He popped out in 1920 and left us in the year 2000. So, like I said, my research department got a little bit behind. Now, his mother worked in a garment sweatshop, and his father was a peddler and electrician. So he was a lover of practical jokes and began acting in shows at camp, Jewish camp, of course, and worked as a concession stand cashier in the Yiddish theater district in New York. Now, he was a stage actor for years before popping up in films such as The Odd Couple. Now, he won an Oscar for supporting role in The Fortune Cookie. So he was also in the remake of The Front Page, Hello, Dolly, Charade. And I've got collections upon collections of Henry Mancini music from that era, like Peter Gunn, Mr. Lucky Goes Latin. Amazing stuff, I think, and still think. But he was good in Charade. Now, he was also in A Face in the Crowd, and that was really a great role by Andy Griffith. And I was going to say something about the rest of his television career, but let me just tell you that Andy Griffith was amazing. Amazing actor, amazing storyteller. And I did not see that in the TV show. And I can't blame him. It was good money. It lasted a very long time. But Andy was a real standout. And that, of course, was a film by Elia Kazan. Now, one of the movies I really like Walter in is called A Gangster Story. 1960, his only attempt at directing, and it was a no-budget noir film done with 5 persons, non-union crew, at the homes of the crew members in Anaheim. Also, several of the scenes were shot downtown Anaheim. And yeah, it's available. It's worth watching. Great, but a lot of fun anyway. Walter in his own thing. Now, he and his wife co-starred, were so broke by the time the movie was done, they had to pawn their wedding gifts to pay the rent. Also, and I need to speed up here a little, don't I? Richard Harris was born in 1930 and went out in 2002. Yeah, let's show that now. And this is the album that MacArthur Park is on. And I love that music. I'm not sure what the lyrics actually mean, but if you do, call in. Let me see real quick. See inside. But a British singer and actor, he was a rugby player until he contracted tuberculosis. He was in 46 films, including Gladiator. And of course, he started off as Dumbledore in the Harry Potter first 2 films, which I think the first 3 were by far the rest that were by far the best. And then he was replaced after he passed away with a guy I really like. That would be Michael Gambon. And he was in a television series. Here's the music actually from it. And for a while it was said that it was a BBC series, and it was said for quite a while that this was the best thing on television. So I would really like to see it go out and get that. I think it was written by a guy named Potter, who also did Pennies from Heaven. He was in The Unforgiven, Samila's Sense of Snow, which I and my wife, we both really liked that movie. He was kind of a bad guy, that something came from outer space and landed in the snow in the Arctic. And he thought, well, whatever, go out and look at the movie. He was in Patriot Games and so many more. Jimmy Carter turned 96 and is still very active. And getting back to, did I miss anything? No. Getting back to today, Annie Leibovitz was born in 1949, so she's younger than, a very famous photographer. So let me get right to what this day is. This is the day that The Twilight Zone premiered. today in 1959. And there's a lot of volumes of the music. This is, LP. Ben Casey premiered in 1961, and I know I've showed you this before. I'm so proud to have it. I'm not sure if I ever listened to it, but when you're a record collector, you got to have things like this. Johnny Carson Show premiered yesterday in 1962. Brain from Planet Eros actually premiered. Night of the Living Dead in 1968 premiered, and I always thought that was maybe the best or one of the best zombie movies I'd ever seen, but I'm going to recommend you watch a not too old film from South Korea called Train to Busan. That's an amazing amount of action, and I think maybe the best zombie film I've ever seen. I Married a Monster from Outer Space, 1958. Boy, am I lucky to have that. Look at that. Oh, and I missed one, of course, but I think everybody who's alive knows Night of the Living Dead. So please don't go away, because we're going to come right back. We're going to have a special guest that's going to talk about not only keeping you busy, but about financial situations and what to do with coming in and out of this situation we have right now. So please do not go away, and help us recommend, say hello to Ray Ramirez in just a couple minutes. Thanks so much, and talk to you very soon. There we go again, and we're back. And, I'd love for you to join the conversation. Call in 951-922-3532, 951-922-3532, and you can ask your questions directly to Ray. Now, we were just talking with the engineer about how the first 3 or 4 programs on this network were actually done from Ray's office. And this is a very timely time for someone like Ray to be with us. So let me just hand it over to Ray to introduce himself first. And then Ray is kind of like me, he never runs out of things to tell us that are good. So have at it.
So, hey, Jay, thank you for having me on again. And the first few shows were done out of my office in Newport Beach, and still have that location, but I've relocated to South Pasadena. So we're right now live in my South Pasadena office. Since then,
Great.
Yeah. Since then, we've actually expanded to about 3 other states. So we're operating out of Michigan, New York, recently Arizona. So I'm glad to be back, Jay. I've actually been in the insurance and financial coaching business for about 5 years. Prior to that, I had owned businesses in the technology industry, the entertainment industry. And, it was because of my need to learn things all financial and retirement. 5 years ago, I took a huge turn in my career choice after attending some classes and realizing how much I didn't know about retirement or building future income, be it for retirement or whatever.
One thing I'd like to warn the audience about is that I concentrate almost only on reverse mortgages. So you know a lot more about everything, almost all the different topics and items, and I'm pretty, generalized. So we need you in the conversation.
Yeah, well, I think that's what's also made you and I good partnership because, we can look at the situation from people's financial perspective on different angles and be able to come up with different solutions for them, be it retirement savings, insurance, estate planning, things like that. So again, thank you for having me on. I'm excited to be here and wanted to talk about a few things. I think, there's an elephant in the room and we're not ignoring it, but, we have
No,
to
no,
bring
not
that up.
anymore. I lost
Right.
60 pounds.
Hey, you look awesome, by the way.
Well, thank you. I'm not
I
sure
love the
how good
beard,
you
man.
Well, yeah, it's because you've got one too.
I
I
do.
grew it because I was kind of lazy and being in the hospital for like 20 days. But, I'll leave it for a while anyway.
It looks great. It looks great.
Well,
So,
anything that covers my face makes me look better.
so hey, yesterday we all know that our president tested positive, or at least the news came out that he tested positive,
Yeah.
and the first lady with the coronavirus, and that has sent shockwaves, no less, through pretty much everybody's living room, but also the financial sector. I'm not saying I'm surprised by it, but I'm not 100% like unfazed by it.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit shocking, but the past 6 months, we have to realize like this virus has affected so many different sectors in the financial institution or the financial world, which has done what? It's affected people's personal finances, and in regard to their retirement, that's been a huge one.
Yeah,
That's
a
affected
lot
a lot
of
of people.
people really had a knee-jerk reaction when all the shutdown was starting to happen.
Hmm.
And, hopefully some of those people got back in and regained some of their, but that sequence of returns is very important.
It is, and we have to remember, that a lot of folks, did, and we're going to kind of cover that, but a lot of folks did see some type of effect to their financial portfolio. Probably about 48% saw a 10 to 20% loss. But we have to remember, as we start to regain in the market, those losses have to be satisfied first before you add any
Right.
future income on top of that. So I wanted to talk a little bit today about how the coronavirus has affected retirement savings in particular.
Very important. Right.
Yeah, and I want to look at the age range between 55 and 64, obviously up, but those are the critical years now for so many people that are getting ready to enter into retirement. But Jay, I think we need to look at how the situation was prior to the coronavirus in regard to the average American's saving for retirement.
Yeah. Very
So,
true.
yeah, so I'm going to come at you with a lot of statistics, and I do want to tell you, though, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, but we need to get down to the nitty-gritty of what's really been going on in our country, because without addressing what's really been going on with most American savings, we're not going to fix it, right? So we have to understand that there is a problem to begin with in the first place. So here we go. Are you ready, Jay?
I'm ready.
All right. So
Bring it on.
according to Dave Ramsey, right? 40% of workers aged 55 to 64, and this is prior to coronavirus, have no retirement accounts at all. Nothing. Zilch.
No, I believe that, and I've read that from a lot of people, not just Mr. Ramsey.
Exactly. Those that do have retirement savings of some sort, median balance is about $100 to about $140,000, right? So
that ain't
that
gonna last long.
it ain't gonna last long,
I mean, and we'll include even with Social Security, that's not gonna last long.
No, and here's the shocking statistics about Social Security. 20% of married retirees rely solely on Social Security for the retirement income. 20% of married, okay? It gets
I think you'd have to be living in some group of expatriates in Antarctica for that. No, it might be more expensive to live there because of getting things over there. I can't see how that can actually be successful, right?
It is not, and half of single retirees are relying on Social Security for the bulk of their income, right? So these are very disturbing factors when you take into consideration the average monthly income for a 62-year-old on Social Security is about $1,992. Not very much to live off of,
No,
right? Okay.
no, you're right.
And unfortunately, the good old days are gone, right? The good old days when we had pensions. Okay, most folks are relying on some type of an employer retirement plan like a 401k. But what that's done is it's put almost all the responsibility of saving on who? The employee.
Yeah, personalized, basically.
Exactly.
And when you're young, you're not thinking about the health problems you're going to have when you're 75 and 80. So I know. So, those bells don't start ringing till you're much older. So when you're younger, those people have to be in contact with others like you to make things happen and to remind them what's going to happen.
Exactly. And when you bring up healthcare, there was a poll done recently, and most people in the upper age group, I'm going to put myself there, I'm 54.
Oh, no. 54. You're about 20 years younger than I am.
Well,
I can't
I'm going to
even
get to your age
remember when
someday.
I was 54. Yeah, let's hope you get there, and let's hope we both get beyond.
Exactly. But most folks thought they'd need about $50,000 to cover healthcare costs of retirement. The actual estimate, though, for a couple 65 years and older is closer to about $220,000, right? And that doesn't even include costs for nursing home care. And it's estimated that about 70% of retirees are going to need some type of nursing home care during their retirement, okay?
Yes.
And then there's debt. There's just because we get older doesn't mean that we're debt free. So
Correct.
people in their 55 years to 64 years of age are spending about 22% of their earnings on debt. That's huge. That's about a 69% increase, right? In less than 20 years.
And you know what? Maybe because of this lockdown thing, and I'm not thinking it's because you can't go out to eat at a restaurant that you want to, but those waiters, waitresses, dishwashers, and owners, those people are really hurting, and then they can't go out to whatever. But there's a lot of people really hurting.
Exactly. So remember, that was pre-COVID. Now let's talk during the pandemic, what's going on. Okay. As of today, about 50 million Americans have applied for unemployment. So remember, I said the financial situation is going to be different, right? Future and today, whether or not you're working, you've been laid off, or you've been encouraged into an early retirement, right?
Right.
With the loss of income, obviously some people do what? They stop paying bills. That's one of the first things that they do. What is that going to affect? That's going to start affecting their credit score, which later on down the line, once they recover, is going to still have what effect on them being able to borrow on good terms. Okay, so there's problem number one.
And they're going to be spending more on payments, no matter what they're buying.
Okay, if they had an emergency fund, that thing is gone. Okay, if they had an emergency fund.
The emergency is here.
Exactly.
That black swan that we talk about once in a while is here.
Prior to the virus, most people, were about 3 paychecks away from going broke. So if they lost 3 paychecks, they were done. Okay. Then that would have to send them into borrowing or again, stop paying their bills. Okay.
Yeah.
Most Americans, even today and prior to the virus, 40%. It's probably higher today. Could not cover an unexpected $400 emergency expense. These are crazy numbers, right? Okay.
And that's nothing when your car breaks down.
Absolutely. That's usually about the average that it costs to get a car repair is about $400, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Ton of people have become, dependent on stimulus checks and expandless jobless benefits. And so what it's happening is they're losing ground. They're losing ground in their retirement planning,
Right.
and then there's the situation of those that have been forced into an early retirement, right?
Yeah.
Cut off from their employer-based retirement planning. Okay, a little bit more about that employer-based retirement planning. You cut me off when you've had enough, right? So about 44% of Americans have I think I'd mentioned this, have said they've experienced about a 10 to 20% loss in their 401k plan since the pandemic, right, came full force here in America. Okay. Another 25% have no idea how their investments are doing, and 12% say they're too scared to look. They don't even want to know. I was like, bury my head in the sand. I don't even want to know what's going on, right?
Yeah.
Those are huge numbers. 37.4% of workers nearing retirement have either lost their jobs or some source of their income, right?
Yes.
Okay. And about 29% of those, right, are expected to dip into their what? Their retirement savings to make ends meet. Okay. So these are pretty scary numbers, right? When you start looking at it from a perspective of the whole population.
I'd say very scary numbers.
Exactly. So the effect is going to be a couple different things. I mentioned one. Some people have been encouraged. Some people like to say forced, but they've been encouraged to what? Early retirement. Okay. Think airline industry. Think hospitality. Think the cruise industry. Think
movie theaters.
Restaurants. I mean, it was what the soup plantation. Entirely closed down. Disney, I think, laid off about 28,000% of their Florida and Anaheim workforce today or yesterday. Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. Those that were lucky enough to keep their jobs, some employers stopped their contributions matching to their 401k plans. So again, we have another compounding situation where they're going to have to do what? Work much longer into the retirement just to meet their original retirement plan. Okay. And this is going to affect people, 50 years of age and above more so than anybody else. Okay. So has this been entirely doom and gloom? Not entirely, right? There is a segment of the population that's doing pretty good. Obviously, the wealthy and those with better paying jobs and careers have actually been able to save more money. They've cut their expenses back, and they've been able to start stuffing more money into their IRAs, to their 401ks, and different types of plans like that. That's great for them, but that's only a small percentage of the population. Okay.
Yeah.
Joblessness still continues. Okay. And that is going to have a huge impact on the recovery. So the question is, what do we do now? Where do we go from here?
That's the question.
Exactly. And I think
the recovery is not going to be a straight line back up either.
No, and I'm not a virologist, right? That's not my field, but I think any logical person can see what's coming down the horizon in just a few weeks. We're going to start to enter what? Flu season.
Yeah.
We have the pandemic still going on. So people need to start getting, prepared. They need to start getting ready. Most people believe that the economy will rebound. We always do. The stock market is going to rebound. We always do, right? But it's what you do now that's going to have a huge impact on how, at the end, everything's going to affect you. So, what do we need?
Have you had your flu shot yet?
I did. I actually got my flu shot about a week ago.
I'm still on antibiotics, so it would do me no good to get one. But, I'm looking forward to doing that. I think it's important. And for all the listeners, too. It's important. I'm sorry. Go on.
No, and I actually wasn't going to do it. I wasn't going to do it this year because every year that I do get a flu shot, I end up doing what? Getting sick anyway. But
maybe it's not as bad as if you would have not taken it.
Well, yeah, I think you're right. So what do we need, Jay? We need a plan. The average American needs a plan. And, with about almost 50% of baby boomers never sitting with a financial planner in their entire lifetime, and now they're entering into retirement, now's the time. People need to start educating themselves, on their personal finances, on their retirement planning.
I've talked to several of the big companies you see advertised on TV,
Uh-huh.
and they don't want to talk to you unless you have $250,000 or $500,000. But that should not be looked at as the norm. I would say most financial planners want to start with everyone because you never know.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And the plans, like you mentioned, should not just be for the wealthy and the affluent. I always tell people, look, if you have 1 million to 2 million liquid, you're probably going to get a call from Goldman Sachs, right? But if you do not have that kind of money, you're probably never going to get a call from Goldman Sachs. And so what that's done is it's left so many people out. We're still good? Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay,
That I
good.
know of, right?
I'm seeing something funny on my screen, but it's all good.
Are
Right?
you sure that's not a picture of me?
No, it's a picture of email. So somebody's loading Gmail
Oh,
account.
oh, I just checked it, but I had no idea screen sharing was sharing. So we can get that. We'll put a big picture of you up there
Okay,
instead.
awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. So where do we come in, right? Where do I come in? Where does our firm come in, into this plan
Mhm.
for America? You know, we work with people who are dead broke and in debt, and we work with the wealthy. We don't discriminate. Okay, so we want to get that done or get that across. What we do, Jay, is we put together, a very comprehensive financial analysis for free for every person that's requiring one.
You know
We
what? Let's just freeze right now and you give out all of your contact information because we could go through the whole show and forget to do that.
You got it. So the easiest way to contact me is via my phone, right? I
Mhm.
answer every call, 714-343-9206, 714-343-9206, or people can email me. And my email is my first name, Ray, Ray, dot Ramirez, Ramirez, dot RFM, Ralph Frank Mary, at gmail.com. So it's ray.ramirez.rfm at gmail.com.
Great.
Okay,
Great.
good. So I don't know what beats free, but if you find something that does, Jay, when it comes to, an analysis, you let me know. But I think that's a pretty good deal. And the 6 areas that we focus on, number 1, cash flow. Okay. Number 2, debt management. 3, emergency fund. 4, having
All of those are connected, yeah.
proper protection, wealth building, and wealth preservation. So we go through, a person's, financial goals and dreams and what are some of the things they want to accomplish. And it doesn't matter if you're 22 or you're 62. At some point in time, you're either not going to be able to work or you're going to want to stop working. So even in your later years, it's still good to get, an idea of like where you're at, okay, and where you want to
Right.
go, okay.
Yeah.
One of the things that we focus on is helping people ascertain what their FIN number is, FIN. And most folks I've talked to have no idea what that is. That's your financial independence number. So the easiest way to define it is the amount of income and savings you should have. So when you retire what? Comfortably until the day that you die. So we put these plans together. We do it for free. And what we do is we then, build a roadmap to people's financial independence. Okay, so that's, I think, one of the main things that people should focus on right now, if they already haven't done it, is get together. Call me. I was gonna say get together with a financial planner, but I'm more than capable. Call me,
Yes,
email
you are.
me, and we'll set up a time where we can Zoom, we can Skype, whatever it is that you need, and we can put together the plan for you. And again, there is absolutely no cost to do that for you. And there's no obligation whatsoever. The second thing, Jay, is that a lot of people have lost their jobs, and
Yes.
they've got a lot of time on their hands. And so what I'm telling people is, look, if you're in your 40s, 50s, even your 60s, I was telling you earlier, I have an agent who's 63 years old and just got her license. It might be a good time to start rethinking what you're going to do for your future employment. Okay. And yes, I'm partial to the financial service industry. I got a good article out of Investopedia, and it talks about becoming an insurance agent. Love them or hate them, they're necessary. Life insurance agent is necessary. And why is that? 40% of Americans do not have life insurance. That's a huge market out there.
Yeah, I do remember that Woody Allen movie Bananas, where it showed that where he was taken into a hot box in prison underground with an insurance agent.
Well, it's not that bad. I try to make it as fun as I possibly can for people. 60% of Americans have no estate plan, right? Trusts,
Correct.
wills. Huge opportunity there.
And
40
they don't understand what a will does or not do. Have to go through 3 years of probate or more, and they have no choice as how much to pay an attorney, no matter who you choose as your attorney.
Exactly. And we already talked about 40%, if not more, of Americans have no retirement savings. So there's plenty of opportunity out there to go and help people, right?
Right.
Let me just give you some more statistics. Right now, we've got about 1.2 million life insurance agents in the U.S. and about 300,000 licensed advisors. It's not a huge number for 328 million people.
Right.
There's about 500,000 people in California alone that have the real estate license. So when we start
but not very many are real active.
Right, but I mean, it just goes to show you the ratio of people who want to help people with their financial insurance needs, and there's a huge gap between who needs the help and who's available there to help them, right?
Right.
So even in our latter age, I started in this business about 5 years ago. I was in my late 40s. I have no intentions of ever stopping, but even in our later years, it takes a few weeks to get your basic life insurance license in almost any state here. I'm licensed in several states across this country. A few weeks. According to Wikipedia, this is one of the best ways, a life insurance agent, for people to start doing what? To start working toward a six-figure income, right? And a lot of folks do that in their first year. Am I saying it's easy? I'm not saying it's easy, but what I'm saying is that it is possible, right? And right now, there's not a lot of options for a lot of people out there in the job market.
Yeah,
Why not look
I don't think easy is the key word. I think enjoyable is the key there.
True. But I mean, I get a tremendous amount of joy being able to go and ascertain a person's, financial and insurance situation, and to be able to guide them free of cost to them, right? And to help them to start planning for the future. So whether they're millennials or they're baby boomers, huge need out there, And I tell folks, I said, look at, there's one thing that all of us use almost every single day: money. Yet most folks have a very scant understanding of how money really works for them in this country, and that's a huge problem. So, we've got a couple scenarios here where we can help people out. Number one, let's get a financial plan. Get somebody to help you. Number two, if you're actually looking for a new career choice, why not insurance? Why not, financial advisory? It's actually been an amazing journey for me, Jay. As you know, I've been able to work with different organizations, the Alzheimer's Foundation in Orange County. I've been able to teach classes here in Los Angeles with AARP. I've been asked to speak at different universities, and of course, your radio show. But there's so much need out there. I don't think we're ever satisfy the need for people to be able to get the education and the guidance that they should have. And it's not that they just should have. It's like a necessity for them to have this kind of information for their financial future.
Right. Absolutely. And I thought you were going to be able to talk more about that part of it, but time goes by, and the first part of what you were talking about was really very good. Of course, you can come back next week. I just had a vacancy just now. Say couldn't make it because he had to be at the dentist, so I feel sorry for him. So let me know. Otherwise, I'll try to fill that up with somebody else. I know you're very busy, but I think it's important for us older people to have something to do. Now, if it's a hobby, they can even look at financial planning as a hobby. You'll just happen to make a lot of money at the same time. But,
exactly.
That's okay.
That's terrible.
Yeah. I play a lot of records because I've got over 8,000 33s, but there's no money that comes out of the player when I do that. So I keep looking, but it just doesn't happen.
Well, maybe someday, Jay, huh? But anyways, let me go ahead and
No.
give my telephone
I was
number.
just going to ask you that again. Also, make sure you give out your email, anything at all to get a hold of you and
You
to
got
get
it.
any information. And remember, there's no obligation at all. There's just like calling me, no obligation, only education.
Exactly. So again, 714-343-9206. 714-343-9206. And my email is Ramirez, RAMIREZ.RFM@gmail.com. So give me a call, shoot me an email, let me know what you need, let me know where I can help. And,
Yeah.
And again, we work all across the United States. There's no issue with time.
Okay.
So give us a call.
Yeah. And remember, you're only calling to get information. You could be calling to begin a lifelong relationship also. But you know what? It's the listener, it's the person that does the calling that makes that decision.
Exactly.
And you can't make that kind of decision unless you're talking to people who really, really do understand. And I want to thank you very, very much, Ray. Brings back the old memories of the first few shows. And I hope I can see you in person before too long. And I do get out into outdoor restaurants. So, if we want to do that kind of thing, I'm not afraid of that as long as we're outdoors and we're, a little bit farther apart than normal. And I just cut a hole in my mask to eat. So we're fine.
Okay. No lap sitting,
Nah.
huh?
No. So let me tell you that I must confess I was born at a very early age, and that's probably why I ended up like I am. And, Kaplan will be here on the same corner in front of the cigar store next week. Thank you again, Ray. Thank you,
You're
Sean,
welcome. Thank you,
so
Jay.
much. And thanks to everybody else who was listening. Stay safe. Bye-bye. Have a great weekend.